I'm Elizabeth Henson. Welcome to the Messy Success Podcast, where I'm helping creative dreamers and overachievers tackle business and life. After 6 years of being my own boss, I finally unraveled a tiny bit of what it takes to survive in this amazing world of being an overly creative entrepreneur. I'm your business bestie, here to help you with all those big ideas and to normalize some of the day-to-day struggles that we all share. My mission is simple. I want more women to make a living doing what they love and to feel good about themselves in the process. The best way to start? We can't do it alone. So welcome. I hope you'll hang out with me here where it's totally okay to be messy. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Messy Success Podcast. I have a special guest for you today. My super type A, very organized friend, Kathryn Hofer, is passionate about helping others live an intentional life. She's with the Modern Planner. I'm not sure if you guys have met her yet. She's going to be speaking in our Shine the Light Society this month, sharing all things planning with us. So I'm really excited for you guys to meet her and to hear our conversation. We really just keep it real and share about business and motherhood and balancing all the things. She has over a decade of experience executing live events, organizing teams and projects, and running a nonprofit. She focuses her attention on educating others about the value of planning. You guys are going to love her origin story, by the way, because it's very, very different from mine and most of the people that I tend to, run in the same circles as. We started in a place of hustle, where Kathryn experienced her hustle before she started her own business. So you guys are going to love listening to that. She's also referred to as the champion of boundaries and guilt-free intentional living. I love that. She's passionate about helping overwhelmed and overworked women slow down and create space for what matters so that they can make progress towards the most important things. I absolutely love that. You guys know it has taken me a long, twisty, curvy journey to get to that place of not feeling like I'm overworking. And when she's not planning or singing, you can find her curled up with a good book, a cup of tea, which she happened to spill right before the interview, by the way, and dark chocolate. Kathryn lives in Canada with her husband and daughter, and they love traveling and eating delicious food. I've really enjoyed my time with her. I got to speak inside her community a few months ago, and they were absolutely wonderful. So this has just been an amazing collaboration that I feel like has come full circle into a business friendship, which you guys know I love my business friends. So I hope you guys enjoy. She's going to tell us all things, how she got started, kind of her philosophies around planning, and she's got some tips for us type B creative people, because I'm always highly attracted to my type A friends. They help keep me grounded and make me feel like I'm more organized. So here comes Kathryn with the Modern Planner, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Hi, Kathryn. Welcome to the Messy Success Podcast. I'm so excited to have you today and share all of your planner genius goodness with my audience. So let's dive right in, and I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about how you got started. I don't think I've actually heard your origin story, so I'm really excited.
That's true, actually. But first of all, thank you so much for having me, Elizabeth. I'm really excited about this. I obviously can talk about planning forever, so I'll try not to jump into that too quick. But the business origin story, it's so much to share. But I think the starting point would be when I was 25 years old. I was depressed, in chronic pain. And 6 weeks after we got married, I was back in the hospital with another health challenge. And just years of not listening to my body and wearing busy as a badge of honor had really just caught up with me. And so the next 4 years, I went on a journey. I drew a line in the sand and I was like, okay, enough is enough. And I started putting my health first. I took a really good look at all the things I was doing. I was your typical type A overachiever, perfectionist, all the things. And I began being really intentional about my time and my energy and my relationships. And so over this 4-year period, it kind of near the end of this 4 years, I was like, it wasn't sitting right. And I knew that my job, which I was the creative director for a nonprofit and had been there for 8 years. And I was just like, this is just too, it was just too stressful and too triggering for me. And it was a lot of the things that I had been working for so many years to like improve. It was kind of battling with that. And so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna let it go and take a step out of this position. And so I quit my job and just took a few months figuring out, okay, what am I gonna do? And I decided, you know what? I'm going to take these pieces of all these things that people say they love my help with, or that they are always asking me, like, what do people always ask me to help with? And like, they always ask me to help plan things. And so I was like, how can I turn planning things and teaching people how to plan into a business? And so it really pushed me, because it's not like an industry that like sort of existed. Like you can do like project planning or like event planning, but like how to plan your life and your schedule and boundaries, like that wasn't really, it didn't exist 4 years ago. And so that personal story is what Modern Planner and all of the training and resources that I create was born out of. So my passion of planning, which I've always had, but then my desire to help others live more intentionally so that they're taking care of themselves and making time for the most important things. So,
Okay, I love
yeah.
this because I feel like this is kind of opposite from my story and a lot of stories out there. So you kind of chose lifestyle first. You
Yes,
said,
I did.
I need to change my lifestyle. So let's build some type of work situation around my lifestyle that works for me instead of, building life around my work. And that's so cool because I feel like I've been speaking so much recently to the stages of entrepreneurism, right? And how we like
Mm-hmm.
work ourselves into the ground in the beginning, and then we're overworked, and then we're finally making money, and then we can step back and scale and find the balance. But I love that you kind of said, no, balance actually is going to come first. My health is going to come first. Like, how can I make this work? That's really cool.
Yeah. And I mean, it's come with its challenges for sure, because when I first jumped into the online space, I was like, there was hustle everywhere. And I totally felt like I didn't fit in, because I was like, I don't subscribe to that hustle thing. Like, yes, I believe in working hard. And sometimes there's a season or like a week or two where we're pushing to get something done. But like, I already lived in the hustle and I already burnt out and I already had major health challenges. And so I think it benefited me in the sense that a lot of people, when they're starting their businesses, they hit that point or they get really successful. They hit that point in their business and then they're like, okay, how can I change this? So it's like I had that moment before my business, but it also made it harder for me to like connect with people, because people are like, well, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you like hustling and all this stuff? And I was like, guys, it's not about productivity. Like, it's not just about all these little hacks. I'm like, that will still lead to burnout if you're not like doing everything on purpose. So anyway, I'm committed for like the long haul. Like for me, this is like a slow growth business. And I'm totally okay with that because it needs to fit around my life. Is it as profitable or as big as I would prefer it to be 4 years in? No, but I've been pretty much part-time the whole time. Right. And so like, that's okay with me.
Yeah, well, and you're kind of like living by what you're teaching. So you're teaching people how to be intentional and how to be clear. And you're doing that from the get-go. Like I had to learn how to be intentional. I had to learn how to find clarity. So you're starting with that piece. So that's huge. And even if the growth is slow, you're like you said, there's still always seasons of hustle. There's seasons of push. But
Perfect.
the most
Yeah.
important thing is you're like, this is my vision and I'm really clear on it and I have my boundaries. Like I love it. When we first connected, I was like, oh my gosh, this girl has a work schedule like me. Cause I only work like 15 hours a week. And I was like, yes, I love this.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely been something that like I've had to balance. Like when I first started my business, the reason why I was part-time is because the nonprofit I'd worked for, I was still a volunteer. So like I had like my job that I had quit, but I still had all these different roles. So I basically was volunteering 20 to 30 hours a week. And then I was pregnant and had a rough pregnancy. And then I had my daughter who's now 2. And so it was just like this whole, like, it's just been season after season of like, there's always been something that causes it to be part-time. And I'm okay with that. We're just making it work. And so I've tried so many different things with my schedule to like, make it work. And it's fun. It's a good experiment, right?
Yes, always an experiment. And I want to touch back too on something that you said that I loved, where you were like, what do people tell me that I was good at? Or what were they asking for help with? And that you're super type A and people always ask you for help with planning. And I just love that because my mind was instantly like, okay, I'm type B. Nobody asks me for help planning, but they ask me for help like creative thinking and brainstorming. And
Yeah, you
it's
don't want
so
me at those
cool.
meetings. Because I'm
But
so realistic. Like, I'm such a logical, realistic person. Like, I facilitate creative meetings great, but I'm not a good participant.
I love that though, but like just that our people can tell us so much about ourselves, you know?
Yes, yes.
That's so great. Okay, so let's dive into your actual business. Like tell us what you do, like what Modern Planner is.
All right. Well, I teach women how to plan. I mean, that's the short answer, but I support women who are feeling overwhelmed, scattered, behind, unorganized, and I help them learn how to plan ahead, how to think and live intentionally, how to embrace guilt-free living is a huge part of that. And so my community is working professionals, it's business owners, it's moms with a side hustle, it's students. It doesn't really matter like how we fill our time. We just want to be more purposeful about what we're doing. And so I take intentional living and planning principles like managing priorities, loving your schedule, building boundaries, creating systems. We talk about rest, we talk about habits. And I do my best to make them as simple as possible. And we remove all of the rules, all of the shoulds, and the guilt so that we can all move forward and live the life and create the life and the business that we want to live. So
I love that. What did I say recently? Like that should is a dirty word or something like that. I
it's
love
just
that.
not healthy. But yeah, we all
Yeah.
catch ourselves saying it. Like, even just the other day, I was like, I feel like I should be doing this. And Jill's just like, Kathryn, are you shitting on yourself again? I was like,
I love it. Are you shitting on yourself? Exactly.
I don't
Exactly.
remember where I heard that or like we heard that, but like it's a more like common phrase. I didn't make that up, so I don't want to take credit for it. But it's just like, yeah, I'm shitting on myself. Like,
Oh my gosh. No, I'm totally going to use that. I don't know who to credit for it, but I'm
I
totally
know,
going
me
to use it.
neither. I don't know, but somebody deserves the credit.
Oh my gosh. And something else really inspiring that I just heard you say is just about the different types of women that you work with. And it doesn't really
Hmm.
matter where they're spending their time. And like, I just want to hammer that home for a second because a lot of people, I feel like give me a hard time about being so business minded, but it's a misconception that's like my business is my passion. Like I don't care if women work a day job or if they just have a side hobby that makes no money or they want to volunteer. Like I just want to encourage people to live a life of passion and a life that
Mm,
they enjoy. Like what I will
yeah.
not stand for is like excuses or shoulda woulda couldas, or I want my life to be better but not taking action, like just taking that action to create the life that we want. Like it doesn't matter if that's, entrepreneurism or like a corporate job or a hobby or whatever.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that's really important because for me, when I first started my business, I'm a rule follower. Like that's just how I'm naturally wired. And so I was trying to follow all the rules of like, okay, figure out who your avatar is and like all of this stuff. And like I was trying to like come up with like one person and I was like, this doesn't work. And so I was trying to do that and I wasn't really finding my people. And it wasn't until I said, okay, it has nothing to do with age, race, demographic, country they live in, like what they do for work, if they don't work, like none of that actually matters. What matters is the heart and the heart that says, I'm ready to be more intentional, to get rid of the guilt, to move forward, to create the life I desire. I'm like, that's what's important. And as soon as I did that, like it was an instant change in how people found me. And like in the quarterly, like I have women from, I think in one quarter alone, I had like 7 different countries represented, like all over the world. And it's just like, that's so cool because what I'm realizing is like that quote unquote avatar, which totally works for some businesses, just not for mine. And was realizing that like, okay, planning is something that is universal. Like every single woman needs this. It's not like a small like niche down, which has been a tough journey to like walk and figure out, but it's been really rewarding.
Yes, and I agree because I kind of feel very similarly about my audience that, yes, they're a little bit type B. They believe in messy success and being imperfect and all that good stuff, but it's like you said, it's almost like a time capsule of like you're capturing people when they're in a certain space and time in their
In
life,
season
not
of life. Yeah,
yes,
totally.
yes, a season of their life or a specific pain point, not necessarily, what they like to do or where they shop or where they live or what they do for a living. And
Yeah.
that's something that I've learned a lot about too is like we don't always have to talk to Sally, right? To our visionary avatar. Sometimes we have to talk to people that are just sitting in a certain pain point that we know that we can help with.
Yeah, totally.
I love that. Okay, and you mentioned the quarterly, so tell us what the quarterly is, and I want to hear like your philosophy around 90-day planning.
Okay, so the quarterly is my group program. So I've been running it for over 2 years now. And it is where we take these main concepts that I mentioned previously, like schedule and priorities and boundaries, intentional living, rest, habits, all this stuff. And we have a monthly theme. And then it also includes like planning parties and live calls and all of that kind of thing. And so it's a community, and it's a year-long program. So when people join, they're joining in for a year, and it's a really incredible community. And so I'm developing other like courses and programs and stuff for people who can't make that big of a commitment. But 90-day planning, I first hosted my very first planning party in April of 2017, and I had no idea like it was going to become like a cornerstone part of the modern planner community. And now there's such like a key piece to the planning framework. And so how I work this out with my community and how I encourage them to start is we do set vision plan change in the quarterly every year. So like November, December is focused on set vision plan change, which is the course that I created. And it's an annual guide to intentional living. So through this process and 30 pages of worksheets, we create a focus word, we write experience statements, deciding the most important areas of our life. And it's never too late to do that. Like people are taking that course and buying it and doing it now, halfway through the year, right? And so then taking that big picture idea of what we want to experience in the year, then we do quarterly planning parties. And the 90-day planning or 12-week planning cycle is a pretty proven model. And so I've adjusted it to be a little less pressure, a lot less guilt, and a whole lot more fun. That's what I like to say. And so what we do is we do quarterly planning parties. And so in 90 minutes, we create a plan for 90 days. And we build out this framework through reflection, through prioritizing, through creating a plan, and then putting it in our schedule. And then usually after a planning party, people need to spend another hour or two finishing it up, depending on how engaged everyone is. And then in the quarterly, and now what's available too is monthly planning parties. So I also host a monthly planning party. So we do 90 minutes, and then we break down that quarterly plan and we say, okay, for the first month, what am I going to do to accomplish that? And then the next month, and how do we break that down and get more and more practical? So we create systems and plans that help us be prepared for then each week as we go through. So that's kind of the planning party, I guess, process that we do in the Modern Planner community.
I love that. And I love that you said you've adjusted it to have less pressure and less guilt. Like I do plan my quarters, but it's always loose. It's like, okay, what big project, what big rock is going to get done each quarter of the year? And I always kind of know where I'm going and what I'm working towards, but it's not always this perfect, clear, like, 90-day like chart that goes on my wall.
and let's be clear, ours aren't usually perfectly clear charts that go on the wall either. Because what I really want people to embrace is the fact that like you can change what your plan is for the quarter or your month anytime. It's your plan. It's your life. And I think so many, especially highly creative people, which I serve a lot of in my community, but the people that have so many ideas that are so creative tend to feel really restricted by planning because they feel like, well, if I create a plan, I'm going to be less creative, or, I don't have a good ability to follow through. So I just don't want to create a plan to begin with or whatever. And so I just think it's really important whenever we talk about planning to realize that like for every like minute you spend planning, you're going to save yourself like 10 minutes. Like it's a really big return on investment. And the biggest part about planning is the adjust piece, which so many people like just skip. They just like, okay, I'm just going to plan and then act, plan and then act. And so the Modern Planner framework, I'll just touch on this really quick because this might help somebody. But the first piece of the Modern Planner framework is to prioritize. So, because there's no point in you planning something that like, if it's the wrong thing for you to be doing. And so we always start by prioritizing. Then we create our plan. Then we start acting on it. But then we are constantly checking in and adjusting it and going, okay, well, this changed. Maybe I should drop this. No, I need to add this on. Okay, what am I going to let go of? Or like a plan is a very fluid thing. And so I think just that's a really important piece to remember so that planning doesn't seem quite as overwhelming.
Yes, or it doesn't feel so rigid. I mean, the most important thing is that we're moving forward, right? And just planning is another tool to help people stay accountable and help them move forward because, the worst thing that we can do is just stay stagnant and not do anything. So as long as we are progressing or moving in some direction at any speed, then that's progress.
Well, and here's a quote for you. Progress is perfection.
Yes.
So I'm sure you've heard Laura Casey has the quote, progress, not perfection, like focus on progress, not perfection. And then one of the women in the quarterly on her feedback form last year, she was like, what I have learned in the quarterly is that progress is perfection. And now it's just like our mantra. It's like, if you're in the quarterly, if you're in the Modern Planner community, then you need to know that progress is perfection. It doesn't matter how slow you're going. If you are making progress, if you are moving towards the life that you desire, then you're winning. So celebrate that. Yeah.
All the fist pumps. I could not agree more. Yeah. And like, and sometimes we pivot and we change directions and we have to take a step backwards, but like every moment like that is a learning opportunity. Every time we like fall flat or whatever, it's still an opportunity to learn and to continue to move forward. But inaction is the worst thing that we can do as long as we're taking action and stepping forward. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Matt, last week I talked all about my 15-hour work week, and I know that you have kind of similar situation where you're working part-time. It's really funny saying that out loud though, because I would never look in the mirror and be like, I work part-time. Because I feel like my brain, oh my gosh, my brain is
are working
still
full-time, but our hands
are like I have
it.
part-time Zona Genius time. I really am like, in my mind, I still work 40 hours a week, even though I'm like, wait, I really don't. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's true.
So tell us, you have a 2-year-old. So tell us a little bit about your schedule. Like, what does that look like?
So for this past year, she's been in childcare for 2 or 3 days each week or less in the winter when she was sick all the time. And so really 50% of my time running my business goes into my group program, or it has this past year. That's kind of what it looked like. And then the rest of it was content creation or marketing or podcast interviews or things like that. And so I'm very much just the way I'm wired and what I prefer. I like to either be working or momming. I don't like to be working while I'm momming. And so I have like a short list of things, like I'll pop into Instagram, I'll reply to DMs, I'll check in with my assistant on Slack, or I'll answer Slack comments like in my mastermind group, or like I have a very short list of tasks that I allow myself to do when I'm with her. And then everything else I do when I'm working. And so it really works for me to separate it. It doesn't work for everyone like that, but that's my preference, is to really like separate the two of them. And so as we head into summer, my daughter's going to be home full time. And so my plan is I'm working 3 nap times a week, 1 early morning from 7 to 9, 1 evening a week. And then we're going to see how that goes. So like my summer schedule is going to be like a 6-hour week with like little bits and pieces tucked in here and there. And we'll go from there.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I couldn't agree more about keeping them separate. I mean, I am so in admiration of the women that can have their kids home and run their business. I don't
bow.
Yes, me too. And one of my friends, we have this thing we say all the time, like we're all about stress prevention, right? And like, I don't like to put myself in a situation that I could possibly be stressed. Yeah. And I am like easily triggered by interruptions. So, like kids home and working, like, oh my gosh, it gives me all the anxieties. But like you said, there are definitely pockets of time where I do work while they're home, and it's very much built into our routine. When Madison, my youngest, takes a nap and Gracie's kind of having her quiet time, like they know that that's kind of when mommy's on the computer. But I'm the same way when I'm momming. I like to be fully momming.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, it's guilt prevention. So as like just the way my personality is and like how I'm wired, I really struggle with trying to do things at one time because like I want to do everything really well. And so I just found like when I was trying to work when she was awake, or like it worked when she was younger and like having more naps, or she would just like sit and play for 15 minutes. I could pop on my computer, but like she just wants to always play. Look, mommy, look, like you can't work when, you've got that, because I don't want to make mistakes. And so for me, it was like, it's a guilt prevention thing where it's like, I want to just know that when I'm with her and I'm doing the very best I can. And I mean, I've tried so many things over the years. Have you ever done an A/B schedule before?
No, what is that?
So, like, the AB schedule is one of my favorite things before she was born. I haven't done it since because, well, it hasn't worked quite the same. But what I did with the AB is like the 1 week was totally focused inward. So I didn't do any client calls. I didn't do anything outward. I just worked on like a bigger project in my business or creating content or like things like that. And then the B week would be all of the outward stuff. So the client calls, the podcast interviews, things like that. And so I would just swap on and off. So I did A, B, A, B, A, B. And it was just a way of like, because I found I was having like a call every like day and it was breaking up my work time. So like that's something that's worked really well for me. And power hours are one of my favorite things, which is probably something I'm going to try again this summer. Just like see if I can get even a half of a power hour in, like maybe before she wakes up or whatever. So yeah,
I
there's so many
actually, now that you
creative
explain
things.
it, yeah, now that you explain it that way, I have heard of it. And I have started like not necessarily time blocking, but like I would rather batch like all my social things. So today I have 3 things back to back in
Yep.
one day so that tomorrow can be totally
Yes.
clear, like you said, inward. So yeah, I guess I do that to an extent. It's just not like in big oh my gosh, week increments.
Well, it's still an AB
I'm
schedule if it's a day by day thing, right? Like you're still doing
Yeah,
like an AB day. And I think that's really helpful for a lot of us because it's like then when we're on, we can be on, we can do all the things like I have 5 calls today too, right? And so it's just like, but it makes it easy. Yesterday I didn't have any, right? So it's just good to figure out that flow of like what works for us.
yes, definitely. And I'm pretty extroverted, so I don't think I could go an entire week without peopling.
Oh, hi, introvert right over here. I
And
could go a long time.
I'm really trying to spend most of my time in my community now. So, like
Mm-hmm.
in my Facebook groups, on like Instagram, like I'm really trying to pivot into being like a pure visionary to my business
Love it.
and like passing off a lot of the behind the scenes tasks. Like that's kind of my ultimate goal. And it's slow progress, but we're
Mm-hmm.
getting there. Like my project manager is kind of taking over my email marketing this week as an experiment, and I'm getting there. But I'm like, my goal is to have my hands out of all that stuff and just be a visionary. All the
So good.
extroverting, all the peopling.
And I'm like, I don't think I ever want my business to look like
I
that.
know, but you
I
know
need
what's
time by
funny?
myself.
Yes, like I've noticed with my friendships is that I'm so highly attracted to people like you that are super type A and organized. Like it's almost like
Mm,
just being in your presence makes me feel like I'm being organized.
I'm sure it rubs off.
But
Oh, that's so
speaking of
funny.
that, like I know a lot of your audience is type B. A lot of my listeners
Hmm.
are type B. Give us like some of your best tips for your opposite, your counterpart.
Oh gosh, keep an ideas journal. I think it's one of the
Mm.
most important things you can do because people are always saying like SOS syndrome or like shiny object syndrome. It's a real thing. And what you have to remember is like it is an incredible blessing to be constantly having ideas. Because some of us, my hand is raised right now, don't have that. Like my brain is just not always like constantly coming up with new ideas. Like I have to sit and think really hard to come up with a new idea. And so I think if that's something that comes easy to you, most likely that's also a distraction from like doing the work that you know you're supposed to do because you're like, "Oh, I should do this and that would be so awesome." So this is what I always recommend is have like a hard copy journal, which is my top recommendation, especially for like the type B super creative people is have a physical journal that where you can write in or use a Trello board or a Google Doc or it doesn't really matter and write down all the creative ideas and inspirations you have. And when you get an idea, don't just like write down like say you have an idea for like a new service. Don't just write down, "Oh, new service, blah blah blah," and like write down a summary. Literally give yourself like 5 minutes and write down absolutely everything you can possibly think about it and like let your brain fully download it all and then just be like, "Thank you for that great idea." Shut the book, put it away, and get back to what you were working on. Because I think the thing with ideas is we feel like, "Oh, I have this idea. It means I need to act on it." But if you write absolutely everything down you can possibly think about it, consider that your action and then consider it a gift to yourself to be able to focus on the thing that you said was most important for today and do that. And then the next time you're doing a monthly planning party, always pull out your ideas journal and be like, okay, what do I have? What's something that's popping out or standing out to me? Sometimes it's just ideas that are coming to us that maybe we aren't going to act on for 3, 6 months, a year, but at least it's written down and we've been a good steward of the idea by writing it all down. So that's one of my top tips.
I love that. And I don't even do that. I love that. I'm so verbal that when I get a big idea, I just like to go tell all my business friends about it. But then I never really get to revisit it because it just like went out into space, but like I'm such a verbal like problem solver that I'm like, I got this idea. I got to tell you about it. So I need to start at least either like capturing those voice memos or putting it in a journal.
Exactly. And the voice memos works too. I just think the journal, what it allows you to do is you could write in your journal, like, here's the idea. I recorded a massive voice note about it. This is where I can find it. This is what it's called. But like, here's just a few notes. So at least you've got a place where it is documented and written down. And a lot of times it's just getting the idea out that's all we needed to do.
Yes,
we maybe
definitely
don't even need to ever act on that idea.
Yes,
but maybe
really,
that
I
idea.
feel like I'm in an idea rehab right now because I used to put out a new offer or service every friggin' week. And then finally, like, one of my business coaches like, no, you need to build one bridge, like put it all down and focus on one bridge.
Yeah. And doing less can seem really counterintuitive, but it's the way to make more happen and get stuff done. So if you're trying to do 7 projects in a month, or like you said, doing something new like every week, like, you're going to struggle with that and you probably won't complete as many of them. But if you have just 2 main projects that you're going to focus on for large chunks of time, you're going to make some serious projects and some serious progress. Like, I think it's better not to just be like, this is the only thing I'm going to work on. Because a lot of, especially creatives or type B, like, they want to do more than one thing. And so it's okay to have like a couple main projects that you're bouncing back and forth between. So yeah, that's another little tip, but
Yeah. No, I love that. And it's one thing I love about hosting memberships is that even though technically I'm offering one thing, I'm offering the membership, like, inside there, I get to like experiment and try new things.
Totally.
And, like, really interact with my people, which I think is at the end of the day, like, that's what I love, is just interacting with my people. That's why I could never be just a course creator and be like, okay, here you go, see you later. Like, yeah. I'm like, no, I want to like hang out and help you and brainstorm all the ideas. Like, why can't I just make a career out of brainstorming? Why can't that be a thing?
Oh, I'm pretty sure it is a thing. I don't know for who or where, but I'm pretty sure you could make it a thing.
Okay, watch out. I'm going to go grab my journal and we're going to come up with a brainstorming offer.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. You don't see that, but I feel like that's, yeah. But I do love it. I would sit down with anybody and brainstorm any kind of idea. I love it.
And it's maybe not like your current target market, like your type B messy success listeners. Like, that might not be the people who need the brainstorming. It might be the people like me.
Yeah. Right? Oh yeah. Cause I have another friend.
Yeah.
That you struggle with coming up with ideas.
Mm-hmm. Those are the people you need to find. And so,
yes, I've got one girl in my coaching group right now that she's like, I just need you every time I need to have a creative thought.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need you every time I need to feel organized.
See, we work well together. It's a good balance.
I love it. Okay. So tell us, like, what's coming up for you? What kind of big projects do you have next?
Well, I have a Life as Planned course coming out. So the whole like course thing, I've been really hesitant to do, I guess. I love my group program and my community. But what I realized is that there was a lot of people in my community that I wasn't serving well, because the commitment of a certain time frame, live calls, like all of that just didn't work with their lifestyle. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking some of the key content from my year-long program, Intentional Living, Love Your Schedule, Managing Priorities, and making it into a completely do-at-your-own pace course. So it's not available yet, but in just a few weeks, it will be up and ready for everybody. So that's one of the bigger things that I'm really excited about, just because I was feeling really convicted about like serving my community and realizing like there's a lot of people I am not serving, because this one offer that, although I've been intentional and it works for me as a business owner, it hasn't been serving my community very well. Like it's been serving the people that have been in it extraordinary. But for the people that hasn't been a fit for, I haven't had anything else. And so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, and that way you can target the different types of learners. So,
Yes.
is this going to be like an upsell, a downsell, or a completely like side by side offer?
It's going to be officially like a downsell. So if the quarterly isn't a good fit for somebody, then the Life is Plan course is the next best thing. But it will be always available. Like it's not going to be like something that I launch. It will be something that's just up and available, evergreen. So
Gotcha.
yeah, I'm really
Super
excited about it.
exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, and tell everyone where they can find you, and I'm going to make sure that I put all this good stuff in the show notes as well.
Well, I'm on Instagram and you can find me. I'm modern_planner. And that's really the place I hang out. And then if you want to join in a quarterly planning party, I do them live every 3 months, but it's always available on my website as a replay. So whenever you sign up, modernplanner.com/QPP, and then you can do a quarterly planning party and jump right in.
I love it. And when I came in to speak to your community, I had such a good time with your members. I felt
Oh,
like I really
yeah.
connected with them, and they like made it a point to say hi to me after and follow up. Like I just thought it was really, really great testament to what kind of community you have. I was like, these ladies are fun.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing community. I think that's what was the biggest surprise for me when I started the quarterly. I knew it would have great training and that it would serve people, but like I wasn't quite ready for the amazing women that would join and like help shape it into like what it is. That's just been the best surprise, and it makes it pretty wonderful.
I love that. And so speaking of Instagram, I think I caught it on there. I don't know if it was last week or what. You said that you were going to take a break from posting in the squares, right? But you're still
Yes.
showing up in the stories. Tell us
Yeah.
about that.
Well, I'm a rule follower, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast. And so I usually try to follow the rules. And when I was planning Q2 of the year, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to try to post on Instagram every day. I'm going to drop it down to 3 times. And then about a month ago, and like while I was on vacation, I didn't really post. I had one post scheduled for while I was gone. And then that was kind of like the end of the run. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stop. Like, not because I don't enjoy it. Well, here's the thing. I don't love writing. So for me, coming up with things to say all the time in the little squares was just like, it's just not my zone of genius. It's not my strength. And my favorite thing to do is live video. So that's why I love hosting guest trainings. I love running my planning parties. I really enjoy Instagram stories or going live because that's where I show up my best when I'm talking as opposed to writing. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to take the summer off. Like, I don't want the pressure of feeling like I have to be creating content. I'm like, I've got maybe 6 hours a week to run my business. I'm just not going to worry about it. And so that's kind of why I decided to just take a break. And it's also partly an experiment. Like, okay, if I'm only focusing on Instagram stories, will that actually support my community? Will I still see my engagement and my community growing? Or does it have to be in the squares? So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yes, I love that. Sorry, you kind of cut out for a second. And I'm down to posting like 3 or 4 times a week. I mean, I kind of wish I would do more. There's like the hardcore Instagrammers, right? That they're like post every single day so the algorithm loves you. But I'm like you, I don't love writing. And it feels like a lot of pressure, especially for a type B person that does not plan my Instagram content a month at a time. So I totally get that. But I love to show up in stories. I love to actually talk to my people.
Yeah. Yeah. So it should be
Totally.
good. We'll
So
see what
I get it.
happens.
Yeah, I'm excited. So your most recent post, did you kind of tell people like, hey, I won't be necessarily posting in the squares, but you can still find me in the
Yep,
stories?
exactly. It was a cute picture of me and my daughter on vacation. And I was like, hey guys, here's the Modern Planner space. This is what I talk about. And I've decided to take a break from my Instagram feed with no predetermined end date. I'm a bit nervous
Yeah.
about it, but these are the reasons why summer's coming. Writing isn't my strength. I'm investing in my community. I'm really trying to step it up with like email and adding value to the community that is wanting information from me. And I'm just also learning and trying to embrace that like I want to is a good enough reason. Like,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
isn't a natural thing for me. Like, some people are very like, oh, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. Like, that's so hard and is something that has been a real challenge for me. And so I'm just learning to embrace that the phrase I want to is enough. It's like, I want to try this. I don't want to write captions or have any sort of schedule. So I want to try it. So that's kind of all what it's about, but I'm excited about it.
Absolutely. I love that. And I feel the same way. I feel like at some point I just gave myself permission to just like take the pressure off of
Yeah.
Instagram. Like it is what it is. Like, I don't have to win this race. Like I am just going to do what feels good and what feels like a place of service to my people and take that pressure piece away.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything else that I missed? This was such an awesome conversation. I love talking to my type A friends.
Well, thank you. No, I really enjoyed it. I just think when it comes to planning, just remember that like a plan is meant to serve you. And so don't ever feel like you need to serve your plan. And a life well planned is a life well lived. That's my philosophy. So I hope it encourages you.
Yes, absolutely. And we're so excited to have you as our guest speaker for this month in Shine the Light Society as
Woohoo!
well.
I can't wait.
Yeah, so like we're going to dig a little bit deeper and we're going to workshop. I cannot wait to have you in there.
Yeah, it's going to be so good.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, girl. Have the best day and we will see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed hearing from my friend Kathryn. As I mentioned in the episode, she will be our guest speaker in the Shine the Light Society for this month of June. She's going to be workshopping with us. I'm so excited to have her. She's going to be helping us plan and dream all the things. She's going to touch on monthly planning. She's going to host a little mini planning party for us, possibly even 90-day planning. I'm going to let my group vote on which one they want to learn about. But I love sitting down and talking with her. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you go check her out on Instagram at @themodern_planner. And you can always find all of her links, all of her goodies in the show notes at elizabethhensonphotos.com/38. I can't believe we've done 38 episodes already. And make sure that you go over, tell her, say hi, to let her know you enjoyed the episode. As always, feel free to leave us a review. If there's anything specific that you want us to dig into, you're always welcome to send me a message and let me know. I'm so grateful to have you guys here listening as usual and in the Messy Squad. If you're not in our Facebook group, The Messy Squad, yet, you can also find that over on the podcast show notes, elizabethhensonphotos.com/38. So thank you guys. Have a great week, and I will see you soon.